Morning, everyone. It's Joe Waxman. Excuse me. I'm back with another video, and this morning I want to talk about philosopher, speaker, religious teacher, authority, Alan Watts. Now, I love Alan Watts. I've listened to his talks countless times. Incredible personality, incredible understanding, gifted teacher, speaker, author. So let's get into it. Extremely wise man. It's hard to say, who's the most enlightened out of the spiritual teachers, but he was fantastic. He did a tremendous job of bringing Eastern philosophy and thought to the Western mind. I have, just great respect for him. I think his understanding is really exquisite, like very, very high. Alan Watts, January 6, 1915, 6:20 a.m. in Chislehurst, England. He was born. He was born in England, went to America to study Zen and philosophy or something. I think he got his master's in philosophy. I could be wrong about that. He got his master's in something, but something along those lines. But he talked about Buddhism, Zen, Hinduism, Taoism, and if you've ever heard him speak, incredibly eloquent, refined, great, incredible understanding. It's soothing. Like they even put music and beats to his talks because it lends itself to that so much. Like the way he can speak is fantastic, right? It's like we all wish we could speak like Alan Watts, both with the smoothness of his voice and the clarity of his thought. It's tremendous. Now, he's a Capricorn sun, conjunct Mercury and Mars. And I think that's fantastic because oftentimes when we think about spirituality, we think about Pisces, right? And this is something that I constantly have a pet peeve with in astrology. You see a lot of Pisces and everyone would be like, oh, you're so evolved. You're probably on your last life. Pisces definitely means you're spiritual. There's a certain truth to that, but it's more about potential, right? And then nobody says like, oh, you're a Capricorn sun. You're going to be very spiritually evolved. Alan Watts was spiritually evolved. Like he was one of the, very high level teachers that we've had in the modern world. Right. And he's a Capricorn. Capricorns are known for being the success, the materialist, So we can't just, pigeonhole, stereotype these signs like that in overly simplistic ways. I've heard like, oh, if you have Pluto in the 12th house, that definitely means you're on your last life. Bullshit. Like just bullshit. Like that's bad astrology. I mean, first of all, I'm not biased. I have Pluto in the 12th house, but I don't think this is my last life. And I'm wise enough to know that there are people who are a lot more wise than me who do not have Pluto in their 12th house, right? Like Alan Watts. Okay, so like we just need to have a more nuanced approach to these things instead of like this overly simplistic, like Pisces, 12th house, that means you're an old soul, really spiritual nonsense. Like, shut up. Like, just go back in your hole. You're not done yet. Like, learn some more, grow a few years or something. I don't know. Anyway, Sun in Capricorn conjunct Mercury and Mars. Mars is exalted in Capricorn. So Mars is really giving a lot of strength to the Sun. And Mars and the Sun get along well. I mean, any planet that is conjunct the Sun is going to be combust, and there's problems with that. But it's not completely bad. It's not all bad. Like combust planets are not all bad. I have Venus combust the Sun. It's good for some things. Yeah, it causes problems, especially when younger. You have to learn how to pace yourself because there's burnout when there's planets combust the Sun. And if you get too intense in a certain area, depending on the planet and the houses it rules and the sign placements, all the factors, you get it. You guys know the drill. It changes it. But here it's in the first house, so it's really empowering him. Second sign, so bringing in some second house elements, which are knowledge, speaking, the voice again, but we're getting a repetition of that with this whole second house stellium. which I'll get to. But so Capricorn's ruled by Saturn. Saturn's going to the 7th house. Mercury is ruling the 7th house. So we have well, it's almost a mutual reception. It would be if Saturn and Mercury were more in degree with each other, but still, and you know, this is an inconjunct aspect, but still, there's an exchange here between 1st and 7th, or 2nd and 7th, because this is 2nd house ruler. So 1st, 2nd, 7th. So like people are coming to him. He's able to communicate with people, and we'll get to this whole thing. I just want to do my little order. I'm very Virgo, that I always have to stick to my routines, and Saturn's conjunct by, anyway, blah, blah, blah. I have a Virgo moon, so does Alan Watts. And again, not Pisces. Virgo is not Pisces, right? He does have Pisces, Chiron and Pisces, but you know, spiritual teacher, not a lot of Pisces, okay? Let's get over that whole thing, like, I'm Pisces, I'm the most spiritual in the world. Shut up, okay? Moon conjunct Virgo, you know, 9th house, philosophy, spiritual, the house of God. Moon in Virgo, sorry. And I said this before, Moon in Virgo can have a very special quality, because Virgo represents the Virgin, right? The Virgin Mother. That's even the symbol of the constellation. It's the Virgin, the woman with the herbs and the grain. You know, she's a healer as well. But Moon is mother, so we have the combination of the Virgin Mother. And you know, esoteric astrology, Moon rules Virgo. So this is this potentially is a very high evolved combination, the Virgin Mother, right? And there's a really nice trine here between Moon, Mars, you know, and then the Sun. This whole triple conjunction of Mars, Sun, and Mercury to the Moon. It's really strong. And Mercury's making aspect to its domicile and exaltation sign in Virgo. And here there's a very high understanding of philosophy, religion, higher studies, things like that. And it's connecting to his Sun, to his Mercury. Yeah, so that's really good. Sun is not making aspect to Saturn, but what we are getting is the Mercury and Saturn, you know, we're getting an energetic conjunction, so to speak, because of the trading of energies between Capricorn and Gemini. So the Sun and the Moon are both contacting their dispositors, which is great, very strong. Sagittarius ascendant, again, I mean, fantastic. Jupiter, right? And here we are like, okay, Jupiter, that's where we're getting the spirituality, of course. Yeah, I mean, we're going to see it. We're going to find it somewhere. Sagittarius, philosophy, that's the 9th house relationship, right? Disposited by Jupiter. Jupiter is conjunct the North Node. I have Jupiter conjunct the South Node, right? Jupiter conjunct the nodes, South or North, makes great teachers. I mean, because Jupiter's the teacher, and the nodes either, well, in this case, let's just stick with Alan Watts. Sorry, I always like to talk about myself a little bit when I can. But anyway, Jupiter conjunct the nodes, it's going to expand the Jupiterian thing. Some people say it's not good, some people say it's good. I mean, it just really depends on the person and how it's used and the sign and all the aspects, obviously, blah, blah, blah. But here, he's being drawn into the teacher role. In Aquarius is very scientific, very intellectual, very out of the box, very high-minded thinking. You know, it's the enlightened civilization for all. It's very high-minded, Aquarius, potentially, right? It's the 12th from the 12th. You know, Pisces represents the 12th. 12th from Pisces is Aquarius, so it has a very highly evolved potential in Aquarius. Aquarius is also funny, and we see that a lot in comedians, the Aquarian element being represented, especially Jupiter in Aquarius. But he had a great sense of humor too, right? He's always telling jokes. That's Aquarius. He also has Pallas and Uranus. Palestine is a little asteroid, probably not that little, but it's a minor asteroid. It's not a planet. And then Uranus. And then this is very intellectual, very brilliant, because Uranus co-rules Aquarius, and Pallas Athena is a asteroid of wisdom and strategy. So he's very, his mind. So if Pallas Athena is conjunct like Mercury or the sun or the ascendant or any personal planet, it's adding an intellectual element of strategy, pattern recognition, and wisdom, right? It's Pallas Athena, she's a major Greek goddess. So here we're getting a lot of really good stuff in the second house, third sign. So combining speech and expression with this very high-minded intellect, right? And then we have this obviously the South Node in the 8th house in Leo. Leo bringing forth the, just a tremendous amount of confidence and ability to be on stage and soak up the limelight, creativity, the heart, all that, just recognition, being able to be recognized, being comfortable in that role. 8th house, bringing forth the depths, the secrets, the underlying psychology. And he was very much a psychologist, and he thought Buddhism could be used as a psychotherapy, because a lot of times, like these Eastern religions, they're not the same as Western religions. Really, they're not. They're much more about understanding than, like follow my rule, follow my leadership, follow my power, the way we get with, like Christianity and the church, being like, oh, you can't think for yourself, you just do what we say, and this is it, and this is the Bible, and it's very like hard and rigid and dogmatic. Eastern religion is very philosophical, and it's very, even psychological in ways. They're much more concerned with understanding and penetrating the mind, rather than like, do what I say, and this is the church, and we have power, and that's, so in other words, it's bringing in a lot of 8th house stuff, because that's what the deeper understanding is calling for, right? I mean, after the 8th house, we have the 9th house. This is where we have like faith, right? Faith in God, faith in the universe, faith that things will be coming all right, but the 8th house, we get the understanding. We get a lot of understanding in the 9th house, but we get like the secret, occult, deeper psychological understanding in the 8th house. And so here, that's very natural for him. He's also got Neptune in Cancer on the 8th house cusp. So again, emphasizing that same thing. Neptune is, very high imagination, spirituality, all that. So he's bringing the spiritual into the deeper psychological, occult understanding, right? He's got this Pluto Saturn conjunction it's out of sign, it's Gemini, and then Cancer, 0 degrees Cancer. But Pluto and Saturn, when they're together, are very serious. It's very hardworking, very there's a tremendous amount of responsibility when when Saturn and Pluto come together, because Pluto is deepening and intensifying the Saturnian authority and hard work. And so it's just depth and like hardness and like hard work and like overly seriousness. I mean, luckily at least part of it is in Gemini, so there's a lightheartedness, but he's very serious and responsible towards others, towards his relationships. This is the house of others. So like when he's speaking, when he's talking, there's so much weight and so much power and authority in his voice, in his words, his expression, and he takes these things very seriously. Like when he's talking, he's giving so much attention to it. That's Pluto and Saturn. It's a very heavy combination. It's, these people, thank God for Gemini, because Gemini is going to lighten it up. Cancer's not. Gemini will. Yeah. And it's part of this really nice air trine, right? So adding tons, the intellect is fantastic with Alan Watts. Really powerful with the Gemini, Aquarius, and Libra MC. Libra is ruled by Venus. It's in the 11th sign, so it's bringing career in groups and networks, right? And that's Alan Watts. He was always talking to people. He was part of a group, part of a network, part of a, 11th house is about like popularity and career success. So when the MC is in the 11th house, that's what I think of, groups and networks. 11th sign rather. Ruled by Venus, career in spirituality. Venus is in the 12th house. It's in Sagittarius. And so 12th house is the house of deep spirituality. So he's got the 9th house, 8th house, 9th house, 12th house, you know, houses very much emphasized, as well as second and third, first, second, third. And Venus in the 12th house, well, I mean, one of the things that stands out with Alan Watts is that he had well, I don't know if it was a problem, but he drank. I don't want to say he had a drinking problem. Maybe he did. Maybe to some standards it was a problem, but he drank a lot. And Venus shows our indulgences, our material. Venus can be very materialistic. And so in the 12th house, especially in Sagittarius, we get a love for, you know, the material side of escapism. So again, like alcohol, that's very prominent here. And then we can see that other places like, you know, Neptune on the 8th house cusp in Cancer. Cancer is a watery sign. 8th house is Neptune represent, you know, water, Pisces. 8th. So there's that prominence too, the trines. And by the way, just look at how harmonious his whole chart is. There's almost no squares. Like the guy is like, this is like practically the smoothest chart you'll ever see. I mean, maybe not ever, but there's almost no squares. There's a square from Chiron to the ascendant, not a big deal. And from the MC to the Mercury, Sun, Mars, it's actually not that tight. It's 21 degrees, 15. I mean, big deal. Very few squares. And that's why the guy was just like, you know, he could drink and still be as smooth as can be. You know, unlike a lot of other people, myself included, when I used to drink, I don't really drink anymore, but when I used to drink, it just made me angry and aggressive because I already have a lot of squares in my chart. And then alcohol is going to exasperate the harsh aspects of anyone's chart. But he could drink and there was like no harsh aspects to bring out. So he's just still smooth as can be. Not saying that that was a good thing, but it was a thing. It happened, right? So let's see what else. Moon opposite Chiron. Chiron's in Pisces. This is very empathic, very compassionate, because Chiron's the wounded reject, the wounded healer, rejected by his mother. You know the spiel. Chiron becomes a healer. He's shot by a poison arrow. Anyway, Chiron brings a lot of wisdom, compassion, empathy, teaching, you know, like shamanism. It's just a very high asteroid. It's one of the highest planetoids. It's after Saturn. It's post Saturn. It's in between Saturn and Uranus. It's a very unusual big planetoid out there. It's not a planet. It's more like an asteroid, but it has some unusual features. But Chiron's very good. I mean, compassionate in Pisces, opposite Moon. It's really bringing him a lot of empathy, a lot of compassion, a lot of caring for the suffering of man, of humanity. Not man, humanity. For everyone. And yeah, all these tremendously good aspects are fantastic. North Node, all these planets in the second house are great for wealth, material success, which, you know, he wrote so many books and gave so many talks and was extremely popular. And so we see a lot of that here. You know, I don't even know how much money he made, but with Jupiter in the second house and North Node, I mean, it seems like he did quite well. He's one of the most successful, popular spiritual teacher, guru, philosopher types to this day, like just period, ever. And we can see all that here. What else? I mean, that's pretty much it. I think I covered it all basically. I mean, it's just an incredibly smooth chart. Alan Watts was incredibly smooth. You can listen to his voice, put on, and there's on YouTube. There's a lot of his talks that have musical backgrounds, and it just goes perfectly. Like you could not do that with me. Like I'm not smooth at all. Alan Watts is super duper smooth, right? And that's all these, great, fantastic aspects, and super smart too. I mean, just tremendous respect, fantastic, colossal human being. And I love that he's a Capricorn, totally defies the stereotypes. And we just need to stop doing that in astrology. Just be like, oh, you have a stellium in Pisces, you're just so spiritual, and this is your last life. Obviously, duh. No. No. Okay. It doesn't work that way. So we need a lot more nuance and speculative measures in astrology to really get it right. So anyway, that's Alan Watts. Tremendous respect, fantastic character, incredibly wise, incredibly evolved, teacher, speaker. We all only wish we could be as smooth as Alan Watts. At least I do. I mean, no, I'm good with myself. I have my own strengths, but Alan Watts is awesome. So I love Alan Watts. All right, guys, if you enjoy this content, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share. And if you want to book a reading, go to my website, macroastrology.com. Otherwise, I will see you next time. Thanks. Bye.